My boyfriend admitted that he forced himself on a woman. I have been with my boyfriend, JayJen, for a year now. JayJen is the first boyfriend I've had who puts real effort into truly listening to and understanding me. He can listen quietly as I describe a list of events from start to finish, while he only backchannels and then in the end expresses nothing but sympathy or helpful commentary. When I am facing a tough decision, he asks helpful questions which help guide me in the right direction. When I'm in trouble, without a second of thought, he is the first person I call. He is a dream come true. My parents love him. My sisters love him. My friends love him. The only person who ever disliked him was a male friend of mine, completely platonic, who said he gave him the creeps. I have since fallen out with this male friend for tangentially related reasons. Also, he was kind of a gigantic douche, so I don't think he had any sixth sense. He just never had a nice thing to say about anyone but himself. Anyway, 2 nights ago, JayJen and I were discussing our first real crushes. It was an innocent enough topic as being completely devoted to each other. We have grown well past any jealousy issues in our relationship. I went first, talking about a boy I knew in college who ultimately broke my heart. When it was JayJen's turn, I realized it wasn't a silly rom-com like mine. It was a freaking horror story. He called it a dumb misunderstanding. He described stealing a pair of her underwear. He called it a drunken mistake. He described pushing up against her and touching her butt without her consent at a party. He called it one stupid night. She was completely drunk in her bed. He climbed in. He took off her clothes. She was half asleep. He put himself inside of her. The way he tells it, it was one person acting on a victim. His retelling of the events ends with her crying and kicking him out, never to talk again. I know he truly regrets it because by the end of his story he was full on sobbing. He didn't deny a thing and said that yes, he had raped her, which led to him wanting to improve himself and learn how to respect women. He saw my reaction and asked if I thought he was a monster. I told him I needed space and left. I didn't even pack anything. My sister picked me up and drove me to Rite Aid, where I bought toiletries. My life has been torn apart because no matter how much I think it over, I have no desire to talk to him. Hearing his voice would probably give me a panic attack. In a true JayJen fashion, he has given me all the space I need, not contacting me once. I've never been in a situation like this. The person I would normally turn to when my life was on the ropes just admitted he did something which, if convicted, would get him put in prison for several years. I can't talk to my sisters or family because if I do that, they'll probably never let me within a mile of him again. Sorry, I think I'm just rambling now. I'm desperate for any ideas on how to proceed or even if my relationship can proceed at this point. The whole situation still feels surreal. I have gone from being angry at him to being angry at myself. I have written long texts to him and then deleted them completely. I have gone through stages of denial where I thought that JayJen, being such a good guy, may not have actually done anything wrong. Maybe a woman gaslighted him into feeling that he had committed a crime when she consented at the time. Then I realized that everyone who commented on my last post hit the nail squarely on the head. He didn't go to the police to turn himself in for what he did. If he truly felt remorse, that is what he would have done. His charm and natural understanding of women's problems were complete ruses. Many people with sociopathic tendencies are great with people. Most of all, he gets to cry and move on with his life. He gets to love another woman again. His victim? I can't even fathom what she's going through. I finally called him 2 nights ago. He wanted to talk about how we could mend our relationship, but after 2 weeks of not hearing his voice and being scared of how I may run back to him, it hit me like a truck. I don't love him anymore. I told him that I wanted him to vacate his apartment for 3 hours while I gathered my belongings. He said he would do so. I ended the call by telling him that if he felt any remorse, he would go to the police and accept all charges for what he did, not contest them in court, and take his punishment. He started talking about how that wouldn't bring justice to his victim. Then he said that he loved me. I showed up the next morning at the decided time with my sister. He was nowhere to be seen. I'm confident he won't contact me again. Thank you all so much for helping me through this. I'm going to find a therapist as soon as possible. Edit. I apologize for editing the post, but after receiving a couple of private messages asking me to drop his personal information, I must make one thing clear. I will not, under any circumstances, post any identifying information about him. It is not only against site-wide rules, but if I were reckless enough to do that, he could sue me. Again, I repeat, Nobody is getting his information. He is a monster. He probably deserves worse. But it will not be coming from me.